login details. The login details.
We are now live on YouTube, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Town Clerk. Welcome to the meeting of the Tavistock Town Council. First of all, the clerk has confirmed that we are being live streamed on YouTube. Thank you. I'm Councillor Anne Johnson, the Mayor of Tavistock Town Council. I will now ask members present to indicate by physical show of hands that they can hear proceedings. Could you show by a hand that you can hear? And thank you. Councillor Venning, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
Thank you very much. We now need to take a roll call of councillors present. Mrs Smollicum, can you take the roll call, please?
Right. Councillor Mrs Crawford.
Yes, here.
Councillor Ellis.
Here.
Councillor Mrs Ewings.
Present.
Councillor Fay.
Present.
Councillor Hutton. Don't think he's joined us yet. Councillor Mrs Johnson.
Here.
Councillor Lewis.
Here, Jan, sorry.
Thank you. I can't see Councillor Mrs Mann yet.
No.
Or Councillor Moody.
No.
Councillor Mrs Parker.
Here.
Councillor Mr Parker.
Present.
Councillor Barry Smith.
I'm here.
Councillor Harry Smith.
I'm here.
Councillor Pete Squire.
Present.
Councillor Alec Venning.
Yes, I'm here.
Councillor Paul Ward.
Yes, I'm here.
And Councillor Paul Williamson.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, Mrs Smollicum. Hopefully those councillors who haven't joined us yet will soon be with us. Councillors and officers are asked to ensure that they have included their name against their thumbnail video so that they can be clearly identified by viewers. May I take this opportunity to remind councillors that, subject to certain conditions, standing orders provide for speaking once on each item on the agenda. Members who wish to speak are asked to please raise your hand. Councillor Venning, you'll have to ask if you want to speak, please, as we can't see you on the video. The quorum for this council and the public that the documents for this meeting were available on the council website. Please note that members are asked not to use the shared documents facility in this meeting. In addition, may I remind you all to stay muted until called to speak and to remute once you have spoken. When I call you to speak, I will state your name. In the interest of transparency, try not to use the comments facility to communicate during the meetings other than with myself in the open forum. In no circumstances should it be used for private discussions. Voting will either be by assent of the members or by roll call vote. For a roll call, members are asked to state either for, against, or abstain when asked. If a councillor declares an interest, they will be temporarily removed from the meeting until the matter has been resolved and then readmitted. When the public part of the meeting concludes, there will be a brief adjournment for 10 minutes to enable councillors to log back in for the confidential part of proceedings. Right, thank you very much. We'll start the meeting proper now. Item 1, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no apologies for absence at this point.
Thank you very much. Item 2, declarations of interest. To receive disclosures of unregistered other interests from councillors on matters to be considered at the meeting. The disclosure shall include the nature of the interest. If a member becomes aware during the course of a meeting of an interest that has not been disclosed under this item, they must immediately disclose it. Under the Code of Conduct, councillors with an interest, whether or not it is a disclosable pecuniary interest or other interest, must leave the room for the duration of consideration of the item to which the interest relates. Item 3, Minutes of the council meeting. To confirm the minutes of the meeting of Tavistock Town Council held on Tuesday the 15th of December, which have been circulated.
Move that they're a correct record, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that, please? Thank you, Councillor Mrs Ewing. Are there any matters arising? Right, sorry, can we go back to part A? Can we confirm, please, by vote that these are to confirm the minutes? Please show. Thank you very much. Councillor Venning?
I've lost you altogether now.
Okay, well, we've got a majority. Okay, we're confirming the minutes of the last meeting. Were you happy with them?
Yeah, but I've lost.
Thank you. I think we're losing. Councillor Venning seems to be coming and going on the internet, sadly. Right, thank you. So there were no matters arising. Councillor Parker, please.
Thank you. Just a question for the town clerk, if I may. Carl, we amended minute 139B of the previous council meeting. Can you just explain when or how that amended minute gets read into the minutes of that meeting?
I'm sorry, I'm having a bad reception here. Could you mention the minute again, please? I think I caught the gist of it.
Yeah, it was minute 139B. It's item 169. We agreed an amendment to the minute 139B of the November meeting, and I'm just wondering how that amendment makes it into the November minutes.
It makes it into the minutes by virtue of these confirming minutes. As excuse me, as it happens, agreement has been reached with the relevant party in terms of future arrangements. But the effect of an amendment is that at the point of confirmation, that is the point at which the amendment takes effect. You don't actually go back and write it into the minutes. It's written in by virtue of the confirming minute.
Okay, can I just follow up then, because that means that anyone looking at the November meeting, minutes of the November meeting, will be reading an inaccurate minute. They would have to know that that minute was amended in order to look at the next meeting to see the amendment. You see what I mean?
The minute, I understand what you mean, but it's the standard case with all minutes that until confirmed as a true and accurate record, they stand in draft form. So you always have to look at the succeeding set of minutes in order to establish whether or not there has been an amendment for accuracy made in an original set of minutes.
My concern is that I'm not sure that all our members of the public would understand that. Anyway, I'll leave the point there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. Are there any other matters arising, please? Thank you. Can I just check with the town clerk that we are keeping an eye to see if we've got anybody in the waiting room, because we've got a couple of councillors missing.
No one there at the moment, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Item 4, public representations and questions. To receive any written representations or previously submitted questions from members of the public. We don't have any this meeting. Move on then to items requiring a decision. Item 5, council budget and precepts 2021 to 2022. Further to the consideration of the Budget and Policy Committee and previous decisions of council, including having regard to the substantial adverse impacts of coronavirus on the funding of council services, to consider and agree: A, the Tavistock Town Council budget for 2021-2022, and little 2, precept 2021-2022 in a sum of £800,316. Town Clerk, did you wish to say anything to this matter?
I've got nothing to add to this matter beyond that in relation to the budget summary that you have, Madam Mayor, we do show an earmarked reserve in respect of elections. That should be reduced by £6,401 in relation to a late billing and the accommodation of that within the accounts. So the figure that you've got currently showing will reduce by £6,401. Other than that, nothing to add to what was said at the last meeting, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So the general reserves will that will reduce, and the general reserves will increase by that amount.
That adjustment will be made, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, thank you very much. Right, so we need to now vote on the 2021-2022 budget and the setting of the preset. Councillor Smith. Harry Smith, please.
Just wanted to move the recommendations as noted in the papers.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for those, please? Councillor Mrs. Parker. So we've got a proposal that's been seconded. Out for debate. Any questions or comments anybody wishes to make? Councillor Parker.
I hope I know the answer to this, but Town Clerk, since I think since this meeting, a lockdown has happened. Has the latest lockdown made any amendments to the figures?
No amendment to the figures, Councillor. Essentially, the council met informally some time ago. It looked at the possibility of another lockdown. It anticipated it, and therefore that is factored into the figures that you have before you. Clearly, in terms of duration and impact, at this stage, that is unknown. So there may be unforeseen impacts, but in terms of where we're at currently, we are still within the boundaries of the assumptions and mitigations which Council has indicated.
Thank you, that's really helpful.
Thank you. Yes, I think we saw this coming and made provision for it. Right, so any more questions or comments? Right, we have a proposal before us which has been seconded. Can those in favour please show?
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs. Young, did you wish to speak?
Yes, on other votes that we've had that are financial, because we're in the situation that we're in, I thought they'd been recorded verbally as well, in each individual councillor being asked for or against.
Town Clerk?
I think this is very much a matter for members as to whether or not you wish the vote to be by roll call. It's, as I say, very much a matter from your point of view. It looked to me as if there was a unanimous vote on that, and I think Councillor Venning, who's joining us by phone, indicated his assent as well. But it's in your hands, Madam Mayor, as a council.
Councillor Hutton, did you wish to speak?
I really see little point, Madam Mayor, in us all individually saying our name and voting when it's so clear for a vote like that that we're in agreement with it. So I would, in this case, go against Councillor Ewings. I don't think it's necessary.
Right, thank you. Councillor Parker?
Yeah, just really to reinforce that, I think when there is a clear division within the membership, I think a named vote would be helpful on financial matters, but when it's unanimous, as this vote just was, I agree with Councillor Hutton that we can just take a normal hand-raising vote.
A show of hands. Yeah, thank you. So we have had that show of hands, and it was unanimous as far as I could see. So we'll take that's been passed. Thank you. And we move on then to item 5B, to receive the rolling capital programme. Has been circulated. I think we just need to note that we've seen that. Thank you. Right, we move on to item 6 then, Budget and Policy Committee, to consider the minutes of the meeting of the Budget and Policy Committee held on Tuesday the 12th of January 2021. Councillor Hutton, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll rise to read these out by rote, and then there are some recommendations. So the minutes of the meeting, 12th of January 2021, 199, apologies for absence, 200, confirmation of minutes, 201, declarations of interest, 202, budget preparation and precept setting, 2122. There's a recommendation at the bottom of that. The recommendation is that Tavistock Town Council endorse and approve 1, the draft budget and precept for Tavistock Town Council for 21-22, incorporating the savings, assumptions and projections as previously submitted to stroke endorsed by the council, plus those listed in paragraph 3.1 of the report. And 2, the schedule of fees and charges appended to the report. And
Right, thank you. We've already approved the little one because we've just voted on the budget, but we do need to approve the schedule of fees and charges which were included in the report.
Indeed, yes.
So I'd like to propose that we agree those. We have a
Seconded.
second.
Second,
Thank you.
Councillor Harris-Smith.
Thank you. So it's out to debate now. Any comments or questions to the schedule of fees and charges? No. Right, those in favour, please show. Councillor Venning.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shall I continue? 203.
Thank you. Councillor Hutton, please continue.
203, Committee on
please.
Standards in Public Life consultation. Recommendation here. Recommended that Tavistock Council endorse the recommendation in the report and forward the following comments. 1, the council reiterates its prior views, namely, current sanctions for misconduct in local government are inadequate to deal with the more serious cases of misconduct and poor behaviour. As such, the government be invited to adopt the provisions as recommended for government action by the report of the Committee on Standards in Public Life in January 2019, Ethical Standards, a review by the Committee on Standards in Public Life. 2, that an independent regulator should be appointed in connection with standards in local government. And 3, that in addition, arrangements should be introduced to permit the separation of councillor or councillors accused of bullying, harassment of employees from the alleged victim or victims during the period of consideration of a complaint. And I'd like to propose that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hutton. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Smith. Thank you very much, Councillor Harry-Smith. Open for debate. Any comments or questions? Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, it was good. It was a really good discussion, and the recommendations reflect that discussion very well. Could I just ask that we specifically note that we forward the comments to DALC wherever else they go? I think it would be helpful that DALC should see them. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we need, Town Clerk, do we need to include that in the recommendation, or will that can just happen, can't it?
We will include it, excuse me, as a note to this minute.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments or questions, please, members? Right, can we vote on that then, please? We have a recommendation before you, which has been seconded. Those in favour, please show.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, Councillor Benning. Well done.
Okay.
Councillor Hutton, continue, please.
204, Slow Waves Initiative. A recommendation in this. Recommended that Tavistock Town Council supports the Slow Way Initiative by 1, promoting slow ways for local residents to walk, review and use the routes, and 2, the matter be considered further by the Council's Sustainability and Environmental Working Group at its next meeting. I would propose that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, and I will second it. Or Councillor Mrs Ewing, do you have a question, or did you wish to second?
Sorry, second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mrs Ewing. Right, out for debate or comments or questions? Right, can we put that to the vote then, please? We've got a recommendation which has been seconded. Those in favour, please show.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, Councillor Benning. Thank you. Anybody against? Any abstentions? No. Okay, that was carried. Thank you very much. Councillor Hutton, continue, please.
205, 2021-22 Local Government Finance Settlement Technical Consultation. A recommendation here. Recommended that the Council respond to the consultation accordingly, that referendum principles not be applied to the sector, and the government's attention be drawn to the specific circumstances of coronavirus, and that some town and parish councils, including Tavistock Town Council, which historically had used commercial income to keep the precept down, had been disproportionately adversely affected financially by the pandemic. I propose that, Madam Mayor.
Right, thank you. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor Mrs. Parker. Comments or questions? Out for debate? Right, we have a recommendation which has been seconded. Those in favour, please show.
Yep, I agree.
Thank you, Councillor Venning. Thank you. Carried. Continue, please.
Okay, 206, coronavirus lockdown. This is item circulated for information. 207, Pannier Market update. And then we go to the second part in the second part of the meeting, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. That's great. Thank you very much. We'll move on now to item 7, general finance, schedule of payments to consider and endorse the monthly accounts as at the 31st of December 2020. The schedule of these, as we all know, is available on the website. Any questions from these? I think it's useful to have them there to see. Okay, can we note those then, please? Thank you. B, budget monitoring, to consider and endorse the budget monitoring report as at the 31st of December. Can we note those, please? Councillor Mrs. Ewing.
Sorry, I was noting, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, thanks very much. Right, I think we'll move on then to item 8, Development, Management and Licensing Committee, to receive and consider the minutes of the meeting of the Development, Licensing, Management and Licensing Committee held on firstly the 16th of December. Councillor Ward, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Apologies that we've got 3 sets of minutes to go through. I'll try to keep it as brief as I can, but I'll point members towards anything that I think's of particular importance. So starting with the 16th of December, minute number 181, apologies for absence, 182, confirmation of minutes, 183, declarations of interest, 184, Dartmoor National Park, 185, town planning issues, a new licence application for M&C Beach Limited, Stannery Arms, B, section 106 funding for sports clubs in Tavistock, item 186, general correspondence, 187, urgent business brought forward at the discretion of the chairman, and attention was drawn to the start of the West Devon Borough Council housing strategy consultation. 188, planning decisions, A, decisions, B, new applications. I just mentioned to members that the application 365220 Full Land to the South of Plymouth Road comes up in each set of minutes because we have revisited the application on a number of occasions, and the final outcome will be presented in the 3rd set of minutes. So there's a recommendation that the views of the Town Council as listed in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration.
Thank you. So we've got a recommendation. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you. Councillor Parker. Thank you. Any comments or questions on these minutes? Right, can we put it to the vote then, please? Those in favour, please show.
Yep, I agree.
Thank you, Councillor Venning. Move on, please, Councillor Ward.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. So we now turn to the 5th of January. 190, apologies for absence. 191, confirmation of minutes. 192, declarations of interest. 193, Dartmoor National Park Authority. The Dartmoor local plan is in the examination phase, and Councillor Graham Parker is keeping a watchful eye on that process and reporting to the committee as the process continues.
Thank you, Councillor Parker, for that.
194 town planning issues. Again, mention of the South Hams and West Devon draft housing strategy, and the committee vice chairman, Councillor James Ellis, is keeping an eye on that process and keeping the committee briefed. And I will be returning to that item in the third set of minutes.
Thank you.
And B, Plymouth Road development. That was an ongoing matter, but the ultimate outcome of that was that we had a meeting with members of the Borough Council, which proved helpful as a way forward in trying to come to conclusions. 195 general correspondence, 196 urgent business, 197A planning decisions, and 197B new planning applications. There is a recommendation that the views of the Town Council as listed in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Ellis, thank you. Any comments or questions on it? Can we vote on that then, please? Those in favour, please show.
Yep, I agree.
Thank you. Thank you. And the minutes of yesterday's meeting, please, Councillor Ward.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So these are the minutes of the meeting of the 25th of January. 211, apologies for absence. 212, confirmation of minutes. 213, declarations of interest. 214A, Dartmoor local plan examination. 215, town planning issues. A, Chollicott Lane traffic regulation amendment order. There is a recommendation that Tavistock Town Council support the proposed traffic order, which in brief is for an area of no waiting at the junction with Whitchurch Road.
Thank you. So that's a recommendation which I'm happy to second. Any comments or questions about that? Can we vote, please? Those in favour, please show.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. That's carried. Thank you, Councillor Ward.
215B, South Hams and West Devon housing strategy. Councillor Ellis gave the committee a thorough briefing on the content of that strategy, from which arose the recommendation that the housing strategy 2021-26 be welcomed and that West Devon Borough Council be invited to further develop the means by which it will be implemented.
Thank you. So we have a recommendation. Councillor Ewings, please.
I would just like to congratulate Councillor Ellis on all his endeavours and the hours he must have spent in preparing for that presentation last night. He did really well and it was very thorough and it was just brilliant. So well done, Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Were you going to second that as well, Councillor Mrs. Ewing? Thank you. Right, any comments or questions? Can we vote then, please? Those in favour? Oh, Councillor Parker?
Sorry, we're on. No, sorry. The question I was about to ask is silly, so I'm going to stop. Sorry.
Right, okay, that's fine. I think we were just about to vote, weren't we? So we've got a recommendation that we that the housing strategy 2021-26 be welcome. That's been seconded. There were no further comments, so we've put it to the vote. Those in favour, please show.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you, Councillor Venning. Thank you. Right, continue, please, Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Minute 218, planning decisions and applications. A, planning decisions. B, new planning applications. There is a special minute about the application to build on land adjacent to Plymouth Road, land which has come to be known as the Baker Estates site. And Madam Mayor, there is a recommendation that follows from that, which is that it is recommended that based on the information available on the 25th of January 2021, for the following reasons, Tavistock Town Council object to application 20/3652 for the erection of 45 residential dwellings, brackets full, close brackets, and an extra care facility, brackets outline, close brackets, on land to the south of Plymouth Road, Tavistock. Madam Mayor, would you like me to read out the grounds for our objection?
I think it's fairly lengthy, I know, but I think it would be good because it sets out where the town council were. We've worked, the whole council's worked very hard on this matter and thought very deeply about this application. And I wouldn't want people to think that it was just a short minute. I mean, I would like it, yes, I would like it to be recorded, please.
Okay, no problem at all. So these are the grounds. 1, the current application did not provide any Class B1 employment, whereas the adjacent site included a parcel of land that could accommodate only 8,500 square metres of employment floor space. Tavistock Town Council rejected any argument that the availability of employment land elsewhere in the joint local plan area compensated for any shortfall in provision in Tavistock. It was clear that in allocating the employment land, the joint local plan considered the future employment needs and sustainability of the town, and not just the current market needs. Tavistock Town Council considered that the applicants had not presented any compelling material reasons for departing from the requirements of the joint local plan, which should be complied with. 2, the draft Section 106 agreement would absolve the applicants from providing or making any financial contribution towards affordable homes in returning for selling a parcel of land to West Devon Borough Council in the sum of £1 for the construction of an extra care facility. Tavistock Town Council considered this proposed arrangement to be unacceptable and contrary to policies Dev 8 and TTV 17 of the joint local plan. 3, the draft Section 106 agreement did not require any financial contribution towards the construction of a new primary school in the town, even though the council understood there to be a predicted shortfall of primary school places. Tavistock Town Council could not accept this situation and requested West Devon Borough Council to challenge Devon County Council about its decision and to include the Town Council in future discussions regarding the provision of educational facilities for the children of the town. 4, the draft Section 106 agreement did not require any contribution to the number 89 town bus service, which was dependent on funding from contributions made by developers. Whilst the number 1 Plymouth to Tavistock bus could be used to travel to the bus station, it could not be used to access other important destinations, including the proposed new railway station, Tavistock Hospital and Tavieside Health Centre. Tavistock Town Council requested that it be included in any future discussions about the town bus service. 5, the applicants were seeking outline consent for an extra care facility of up to 60 bedrooms and had indicated that a facility modelled on one built in Totnes would fit on the site proposed. This would involve the construction of a large building of up to 5 stories that would be inappropriate for the approach to our heritage town. Tavistock Town Council further noted that only 24 parking spaces were proposed. There was no alternative parking in the current application, whereas the Totnes facility was adjacent to a large municipal car park. Tavistock Town Council understood West Devon Borough Council was seeking further information from the applicant and requested to be consulted again when such information is available. 6, Tavistock Town Council was concerned that the proposed access point to and from the A386 would result in a total of 5 junctions within a short distance and would prefer that a roundabout be constructed at Hawthorne Road to serve both the new development and the Bishopsmead estate. Tavistock Town Council asked to be consulted again once discussions between the Highway Authority and the applicant were concluded. And finally, Madam Mayor, 7, Tavistock Town Council endorsed and supported the detailed objection made by Transition Tavistock regarding sustainable pedestrian and cycling connections between the development site and the town. The current proposals were not satisfactory. There's therefore the final recommendation, Madam Mayor, that the views of the Town Council as listed in Appendix B be passed to the local planning authority for consideration.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Ward, and thank you for reading that out in detail. Do we have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Hutton, is that you? Yeah. Right, comments or questions, Councillor Hutton?
Yes, though people must realise that the developmental committee take all planning decisions and recommendations very seriously. We look at everybody's very seriously. This planning permission for Plymouth Road has taken a lot of time and a lot of serious thought over the last few weeks, month or two. I am just a little bit concerned that what we don't want to happen is we don't want our recommendations, which we really do are very much in favour of. We don't want it to go to the planning committee and then be basically seen by one person and not maybe acted on. And I just wonder in this case as to whether, because it's of such interest to so many people, whether we need to be sending copies of this to other people, such as, the chief executives and things. So there's absolutely no doubt in West Devon's mind what our views are on this. I don't want to happen what has happened in the past where things seem to have been missed. And I just want to address that question, please.
I'm going to ask Councillor Mrs Ewing, who's asking to speak, to come in there because she's been a member of the planning committee at the borough in the past, and I'm sure as the ward member for this will have something to say.
Councillor Hutton, this application, the chief executive is keeping his eye on very, very closely. As you know, when we had our meeting last week, we also had one with the chief executive just before then. So he will see this, as will, senior planners who are keeping an eye on it, and the lawyer, David Fairbairn, when he returns to work. The other thing is, as you know, within the planning process, when the application is called into committee, that somebody can come from Tavistock Town Council and represent your views. We might have to do a bit of faster speaking because you only get a few minutes, but those views can then be shared with the actual planning committee of that development and management control up at West Devon. So it will be then heard in full, and the 10 members who have to hear that decision will be able to hear your views once again. So actually, instead of maybe them looking on the planning portal for the comments, they will be able to hear them, one-on-one type of thing, that they will have them to their hand. And I am sure that when the report is written, and I'm going to, the report is written by the officers, I am sure many elements of what the town council are saying will be included within their report that goes to the committee. And I'm sure Councillor Parker will correct me if I'm wrong on any of those points.
Thank you, Councillor Mrs Ewing. And Councillor Parker asked to speak next. Oh, sorry, Councillor Hutton, did you wish to come back?
I'd just like to say, I listened to what you say, Councillor Ewings, but, we have had this problem before where things are supposed to have gone to committee and they haven't. And I just want to make sure this must not happen with this.
I promise you, Councillor Hutton, this will not be happening with this.
Okay.
I've already had a lot of angst, to be polite, since June of last year over applications for Plymouth Road. Yeah. And I promise you that nothing will be missed.
That's great. Okay, lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councillor Parker, next, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I mean, first of all, just to confirm what Councillor Ewings has said, there was a complete breakdown in the planning department in dealing with the Plymouth Road application, and that breakdown has been well documented in David Fairbairn's report. He's recommended ways of tightening up the procedures internally within the planning team and the reporting procedures to the planning, the DM committee. And I think we all appreciate how closely the chief executive and the head of planning practice are looking at this application as it goes through the system. I think it would be astonishing beyond belief if this didn't get to committee and if our views as a town council were not represented properly at that committee. If I can go on though to say something else, please, Madam Mayor. I'm not going to repeat what I said last night at Development Management. I think all members of that committee are on the same page, and the chair has recorded our views incredibly well. Basically, I think we all felt that we're let down by the three authorities that are dealing with the applications in Tavistock in terms of employment land, which was a major element of the plan for sustainable future in Tavistock, and in terms of infrastructure, whether that's affordable housing, highways, active travel, bus services, primary and secondary education. We're being let down on all of those fronts. All of those have come together in the Baker application, and I think we're all rightly concerned about the situation when we discussed it last night. But could I add one more thing into the mix, if I may? When he investigated the Vistry application debacle, David Fairbairn made the perfectly valid point that if we were to finish what this council started in 2016, namely complete a neighbourhood plan, we could have a proper seat at the table on issues like this. Now, it's been said, quite rightly, that this is the last major site in Tavistock for the lifetime of the local plan. Now, that's true, but only up to a point. The joint local plan is due to be reviewed in the next 2 or 3 years. It's on a 5-year review, and it's nearly 2 years old. And I'm sure that we all on this council know that Tavistock is currently being surrounded by developers on at least 6 major sites. And those are going to come forward in that review. I've got no doubt about that at all. If we as a town council want to take a measure of control over the future of the town, and I personally think most definitely that we should, then it's becoming almost too late to get moving on the neighbourhood plan. We've already taken the decision to carry out the plan. We took that in 2016. It would be good to think that the lessons of the Plymouth Road sites, following what Councillor Hutton's been saying, will encourage us to move ahead with the plan literally within the next couple of months. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Mrs Ewing wishes to come back now with a point of information.
Councillor Hutton, I forgot to say that as the ward member at the committee meeting that makes the decision, I get 5 minutes to speak. And I would also be reiterating the points that Tavistock Town Council has made, which is why I chose to come to the meeting last night. And I did give my views, as you heard, on the application. So I can take what we have done and reiterate and push it quite strongly, because that is where the decision to me has been made for the Town Council. I will listen to views at that meeting, and, you know, should anything happen, I will go with an open mind and listen to the application as it is being heard. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions about the proposal in front of us? Councillor Mrs Crawford.
Thank you. Sorry, I'd just like to concur with what Councillor Parker was saying about the neighbourhood plan. As chair of the Sustainability and Environment Working Group, I've been attending the Devon Carbon Plan webinars that have been on, and they're very much in favour of developing a neighbourhood plan. So I think that would dovetail really, really nicely with that. So I would just sort of like to make that recommendation, which, sorry, I know it's got nothing to do necessarily with the plan. So thank you.
Right, thank you. Any further comments? Right, can we vote on that then, please? We have a proposal which has been seconded, and it's before you. Those in favour, please show. Thank you. Councillor Venning. Seem to have lost him. Okay, that was.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Ward, and thank you to all the members of DMNL who have worked incredibly hard examining all the plans that they look at over the recent weeks. So thank you very much for that. move on now to items circulated for information only. Service reports. To receive for information the following service reports. The first is the General Manager, which is at 9.1, little 1. He was here earlier. Is there anything you wish to add to that, Wayne, if you're still there? No? Do we have any
Nothing
comments
to
or questions to this?
Move that we note the report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Mrs Ewing.
I spoke with the town clerk yesterday about this report, in that I was a bit concerned of under operational update with regard to specific property maintenance and ground maintenance budgets. I subsequently had, whilst talking to the town clerk, looked at the budgets, but know that they won't cover what the outstanding works are. So, you know, are we going to have our usual budgets that come forward and projects as we used to do when we used to come forward with the capital works programme of what we were going to do? And, you know, as the Mayor, myself and Councillor Harry Smith know, things go up and down that list like a yo-yo, according to, you know, how serious something is or isn't. So I did ask that question of the town clerk yesterday as to what we were going to do and how we could do things, and look at shaving grapes in the budget that I saw.
Thank you. Town clerk, did you wish to comment, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, as we discussed yesterday, the arrangement will be that when we get to financial year end, we will look at the savings that have already been identified in our progress against those. We'll look at areas where we have overspend or underspend against individual cost centres or cost codes, and that will be the opportunity for the council to review the position to identify whether or not, on balance, having taken out the savings that's already identified, there is a net overspend or underspend, and then to be able to carry forward any underspend into projects next year. What I also said was specifically in relation to property maintenance and grounds maintenance budgets, because we have a cluster of issues and initiatives which are coming in at financial year end. I would anticipate that if we fail to be able to utilise this year's budget, because that is a committed budget, albeit we haven't actually necessarily entered into those contracts, we would be inviting members at that stage, in order to be able to fund those things, areas like the additional works associated with the town hall roof, to carry forward those and any residual budgets into the next financial year, because we're definitely going to need to do all that we can to protect those, given the upcoming works that we have and the works that are already in process of being commissioned but not necessarily fully commissioned yet.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Wayne, can I thank you, General Manager, for this report, which we've noted. Thank you. Move on then to the Town Hall, Butchers Hall and Works Department report. Any comments or questions on that report? I think it's all fairly straightforward. Councillor Squire.
I should point out, Madam Mayor, that this is very much an officers-led consultative committee, and they've worked exceptionally hard to maintain a good interface with our traders and our tenants. And I would commend that the efforts made have resulted in a very surprisingly amicable relationship, given the stresses and strains of this particular time. So I commend the officers' work to the entire council there.
Thank you, Councillor Squire. I would agree with that. Thank you. So any further comments, or will you note that report? Thank you. And move on then to 9.3, the pannier market report. I think Councillor Squire's comments covered both of these reports. So it covered the pannier market and the previous report.
Noted, Madam.
Right, it looks to me as if Councillor Moody has joined us. Is he in the waiting room? He's telling me that the hub meeting overran. So I don't know how he's sent me a message on chat if he's not in.
No, I'm here. But I joined late. I'm sorry. I in my haste put the wrong meeting details into my
Right.
my computer and joined part 2 instead of part 1.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Moody. It's good to see you. So we've just considered the pannier market report, which I think we've noted. Finance and other matters, to receive for information the following: the report of the assistant to the town clerk, which is enclosed. Any comments or questions to Mrs. Smallcombe about this report? Can we note this report? Thank you. And then we move on to Town Hall and Markets Consultative Group meeting. Notes from the meeting held on the 20th of January, which was chaired by Councillor Squire. This fully covers what was discussed at that meeting, which I think is a good record of what happened. So can we note that, please? Thank you, Councillor Smith. I think that was. Little 3, West Devon Borough Council report, to receive the report of West Devon Borough Council, Councillor Bridgewater, which is at 10C. Interesting report, which nice and succinct, which is good. Any comments or questions to that? Can we thank Councillor Bridgewater for that? Thank you. Item D, County Councillor report. Mrs. Sellis, we didn't receive a report. We didn't receive a report at the last meeting. Not sure why we aren't receiving reports from our County Councillor at such an important time. But let me just note that we haven't received a report there. E, project update, to receive any additional oral update in connection with Tavistock Townscape Heritage Initiative Scheme and the Guildhall Gateway Centre project. I'll ask the town clerk first of all, and then perhaps the general manager needs to comment on this. Town clerk, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've got nothing to add to the general manager's report in relation to the Guildhall Gateway Centre project, and we are aiming to complete the Tavistock Townscape Heritage Initiative Scheme by the end of the financial year, subject to the weather conditions, in order that we can finish the surfacing in the Guildhall car park public realm and complete the outstanding complementary initiatives. So that's a very definite, firm target that we've got in relation to that. Otherwise, happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, please? No questions. Can I thank you for that then, please, Town Clerk? Move on to item F, to receive any update from or questions to council representatives serving on other outside bodies in connection with the work of those bodies. So any updates from members? Councillor Williamson, did I see your hand go up?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to say that there is, in the Business Improvement District bid, concern about the slow distribution of local restrictions support grants, and that issue is being taken up by the bid chairman with the leader of the Borough Council. If there is an awareness amongst councillors of distress amongst the business community, that being shop owners, other people who might be entitled to local restrictions support grants, they should pass that concern to the bid manager to add to the case that the bid is making to the Borough Council. And that was the first thing I wanted to say. Is that okay so far?
Thank you. I think Councillor Moody would you like to come in now about that? Councillor Moody, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. That's I'm concerned to hear that as the lead member of Customer First at West Devon, I really would like to be included in those emails from businesses who are having difficulties, and I also will be involved with following that up to find out what the issues are. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Williamson, continue, please.
I'm really grateful
Oh,
to hear
sorry,
Councillor
sorry.
Moody.
Hold on a minute, please, Councillor Williamson. I've got 2 screens of people now, so I'm just making sure I'm getting everybody. And I see Councillor Fay wishes to talk, and I think it's about the first point. Councillor Fay.
Yes, I'd just like to comment. I am a recipient of one of those grants, and Janice Saunders from the bid worked very hard, and I can confirm that the applications were confusing. They gave you a different reference number for up to 4 different applications, but I received the remittance today, sectioned in all the different sections which I'm entitled to, which includes the £1,000 Christmas wet lead pub grant. So it's requiring work, but it has been achieved. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Right, let's just check on the other screen a minute. I think we're back to Councillor Williamson. Thank you.
I'm grateful to Councillor Moody for his comments on that, and I hope that the bid manager stays in communication with him as well as the others in the Borough Council that she is talking to. So I will pass that on after this meeting.
Thank you.
The second point I wanted to say is really for information of councillors generally, in that the bid is preparing for the next reballot for its follow-on term, and I believe the reballot will take place in July. We're extremely grateful for the close partnership working of council officers with the bid, and of course we are heading towards unlocking at some point of lockdown 3, and I really hope that the close working relationship between our officers and the bid manager continues, so that that is an easy unlocking. As members may be aware, there was some voicing of concern about the measures taken in our streetscape after lockdown 1 last year, and we hope that it is a smoother transition when we finally get through to unlocking after lockdown 3.
Thank you. Councillor Parker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Could I just ask what procedures in place? I genuinely don't know the answer to this question. What procedures in place in Tavistock Town Council to decide how we're going to vote, use our votes in that ballot?
That's a good question. It's something that will probably come up on an agenda, I would think, Town Clerk, and we will make a decision on how we will vote. Do you wish to comment, please, Town Clerk?
I think only to say that in line with the discussions that have taken place to date, I understand there to be a clear commitment from the point of view of both this council and West Devon Borough Council to support the continuation of the bid company, recognising the fact that it represents a democratic forum for the high street, which is not capable of otherwise being funded or delivered by either this council or the Borough Council. And it does provide a meaningful and real opportunity for retailers and other high street businesses to be able to collaborate and work together. At the point at which a vote comes, then clearly that will be a matter for either the council or indeed for yourself, Madam Mayor, on behalf of the council to cast that. But I haven't picked up any indications yet that from this council's perspective, it would be anything other than supportive of the continuation of the bid company in the interests of both the high street and the wider community who use the high street within the town.
Thank you. Councillor Parker, come back on that.
Thank you. I've worked with a number of bids across the country, and I do think in situations like this, it's helpful to have a recorded vote of the organisation so that people, the public and all the businesses will know that that all 17 members of the council are right behind them.
Okay, thank you. So it's in July, so we'll need to consider that at the very beginning of the next council term or at the end of this one, I would think, when we get a bit closer to the vote. Any other questions to Councillor Williamson? Councillor Williamson, have you finished?
I believe so. I have just been, all I would say is there is an agenda for the Oak Rail Forum, which I've mentioned in the past. It's only just come in. I haven't yet opened it, so I'll report at the next meeting about that.
Thank you. Any other updates from members on about outside groups that they're members of, representing the town council? Probably December and January is not that busy a time for things that will start to gear up as the spring comes on. Okay, and then any feedback from members following their attendance at any training sessions? Councillor Crawford, please.
Thank you. It's not so much training, but as I mentioned earlier, the Devon Carbon Plan have been holding webinars. It's been a variety of people on that. Devon are aiming to be zero carbon, I think, by 2050, but it's very much an engagement thing with the community. So if people want to have a look at that, there is also a survey about it. It's really quite interesting what the county are looking at. So I would really urge that people have a look at that and take part in the survey, because it's something that we all need to be doing together. It's not something that's going to just come from councils. It's about liaising with all the groups in the community that are doing things to reduce our carbon footprint. So
thank you. Could you email people the details of that, please?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So that we've all got it before us. It makes it easier to take part if we're not trying to find it for ourselves. Yeah. Any other updates on training? Councillor Venning, have you got anything to say?
No, I agree with him.
Right.
I'm still trying to get this video to work, so I'm sorry I wasn't quite listening.
Okay, don't worry. Perhaps you might be able to do that in part 2. Right, I think that to receive such communications or reports as may be submitted by the town mayor, I have none, and I have no urgent matters brought forward at the discretion of the town mayor. So that concludes the first part of the meeting, and we will now have a 10-minute break, and then please log in to part 2. So I'll see you inside. Thank you very much.